Welcome on in here. First pitch, D-backs, Mets, Giants, Brewers, Toronto, Boston, the Rockies, and Marlins, and an absolutely massive series kicking off in the NL East today. You're getting analysis, player props, best bets in all of them, and more coming your way here. Dan Alexander being joined by the KBO duo. That's right, Tokyo Brandon and Adam Trigger here, talking some baseball on the diamond. Yes, football season is nigh, but we're going to be here cashing tickets in the MLB all the way through the regular season. So about a month of action more for us here. So let's get right into it, guys. And while you're hanging out with us, that like button would be appreciated. If you smash that, hit that subscribe and the little bell. It'll let you know when we're going live across the channel here. If you're on social, hit that follow, and we appreciate it. But Tokyo, Brandon, D-backs and Mets. So last night, what was it? 8-5. A lot of runs in that one, largely thanks to a late grand slam where almost half of those runs came from here. But we've actually seen off of that win a little bit of under money pushing this game off of the opener of 9s. We're seeing some 8.5s out there. You still think, regardless what the market is thinking, some runs might be in order this afternoon. This one goes at 3:40 Eastern. D-backs, Mets. What does our man Tokyo Brandon have to say in this one?
Yeah, what's up, guys? I have a feeling some of that under money is going to be spent in vain, and I'll tell you why. These are two top lineups. So I rank my batters, bullpens, and starting pitchers. I do them all on a curve of 30. Since there's 30 teams. And the Diamondbacks currently are batting number 3 in all of MLB. So Diamondbacks are absolutely crushing. And what's even better is they have a top 10 bullpen. I have their bullpen ranked 6th. So Diamondbacks are absolutely crushing, chasing the Dodgers and the Padres, along with the Padres. And the Mets I have ranked 12 in batting. So Mets are actually crushing it pretty good right now too. What I like about the over in this game is the fact that the Mets bullpen is ranked 26 out of 30. They're just awful. Diaz is terrible. And he blew the game. He blew the save yesterday. It was actually his 6th blown save. He's ranking in the top 6 in blown saves. I think Holmes for the Yankees has 10 blown saves. But yeah, I mean, he's blowing quite a few saves. The bullpen is awful for the Mets. And if you look at these two pitchers, what I really like about this is the way they match up against the other team. They're absolutely atrocious against the other batters. Peterson against the Diamondbacks in his career has 34 at-bats against. He's given up an average against of 353 and an OPS against of 1,047. It's just horrible. And Ryan Nelson, every time I come on this show and bash Ryan Nelson, he comes out and pitches really well. But I don't think that's going to happen today because against these Mets batters, in his career, he has 34 at-bats against. He has a 441 average against with a 1634 OPS against. These Mets batters absolutely crush Ryan Nelson. So if anything, I would go over in this one. But due to the Diamondbacks' great hitting, I actually put a client play out an alt team total for the Diamondbacks, 3.5 over. I think it was minus 160. A little bit of juice there, but the number 3 batters against the 26th ranked bullpen and Peterson with his horrible numbers against Diamondbacks. I think the Diamondbacks team total is a good bet. I think the game total over is a good bet as well. So that's how I break this game down.
Runs, and runs is the way the Tokyo Brandon is looking at this one. Chat thinking they're liking the D-backs. Welcome on back to our man Tyler joining us in the chat. Like I said, we had to look on some milk cartons for you. I thought I saw your picture sitting on one of them. Boss 429, Robert S. Titan CT. We appreciate all of you. Eric D. Keep the chat bumping. Ask any questions that you like, and we'll hit as many as we can here on the show. If you're watching on the rewatch, comment below. We want to know what you're betting tonight. We'll be chopping it up with you down there as well. Trig, the game you want to start off with here. We got a lot of different start times today, so I'll do my best to let you know when they're going so you can get to them quicker. This one at 2:10, and it's the series finale between the Giants and the Brewers. Giants, they're looking to get over that 500 mark. If they can get this series win that they desperately need, man, then they will be finally. I think it'll be 68 and 67 that they'll be sitting at, because this final playoff push is on for them. You think they get that series win? If they do so, they're also going to cash a nice little plus money ticket here. They're dogs as they're facing off against the Brewers. How are you looking to bet this one, Trig?
Yeah, so this is not something I bet yet, but there's two sort of things happening here that tilt me to the Giants side, as it pertains to the pitching, and I'll get to that in a second. I saw an interesting stat though yesterday, and it just kind of something I thought of. I think when I was talking last week, I believe we were talking about Brewers A's on one of the shows last week, and I made a point to say that the Brewers, I felt like they had been a little bit fortunate with some of the results lately. And then I heard the stat: they have 267 runs scored with 2 outs. It leads the major leagues. All of their runs yesterday were with 2 outs, and it's like, it just feels like they've been a little bit fortunate in some of their games. Specifically, I played against them last week with the A's, and there was a point in the first game, which Aaron Savali pitched in for the Brewers, where they kind of like got out of bases loaded twice. And when I start to see things like that, I almost always try to pick a spot to play against that team, because going in the future, just because of, law of averages, you're not going to always get the 2 out hit, the timely hit to get the run. That stuff tends to be cyclical. So that's got me wanting to play against the Brewers. Now, the other thing that has me wanting to play against the Brewers here is Aaron Savali. And this is something I brought up specifically last week. He just doesn't seem like the same guy. I feel like he's put on weight. Like, that might be a stupid thing to say, but when I watch him, he looks way bigger. Okay. And that's not necessarily a bad thing for a pitcher, especially legs and stuff like that. But he also now is on pace for the worst numbers he's had in his entire career. His 4.84 ERA, 1.39 whip are both trending in the direction of career worse. And then I go back to his last start, Dan, and he got out of bases loaded twice. Those numbers could have been a lot worse. He got out of bases loaded in the second inning, and then I think again in the fourth, or he left the game with the bases loaded. They brought in a reliever to get out of it. So his numbers in that win on Friday, I think, are a little bit deceiving because of that. The final thing is the Rays kind of just let him go, traded him earlier this year and didn't get a ton back for him. And I've always felt like the Rays are really like one of the more forward-thinking teams, one of the more analytical teams. And Savali has some decent underlying metrics, which makes me think if they were kind of willing to like part ways with a guy that they went and traded for a year ago, maybe they're not that high on him, and there's something to that. So I've wanted to play against Savali. On the other side, Hayden Birdsong reminds me of a lot of Spencer Arrighetti, who I had a 5% play on yesterday. Unfortunately for you, against your Phillies, he almost no-hit them. It cashed easily. And the reason I say that is he's young. He's a rookie. He's kind of had to figure out his command at the big league level. Of course, Arrighetti and him were both called up very early. 5.2 walks per 9 innings has been a little bit of a concern, but he makes up for it with the swing and miss. Like Arrighetti, his curveball has been unhittable. 54 strikeouts in 45.1 innings pitched, so over a strikeout an inning. That's all very appealing. And if you throw out the two bad starts, Nationals and Tigers, his numbers are very, very solid. So, I didn't get to the window with this. I would have loved a +1.5. That's not possible. I think that's up in the -170s. But I like Birdsong. I have reasons to think Savali might be a fade. And then, of course, you might get Patrick Bailey back today. He's going to be coming off the IL in the next day or two. And when Helio Ramos for the Giants is playing the way he is over the last 3 weeks, they actually have some offense. He's the one guy I think he's going to be a superstar for this team. Last 20 games, 8.78 OPS, gives them a legitimate offensive threat. So I think Giants plus money makes sense. Haven't bet it yet, but I'm certainly looking that way in this day game.
Looking towards that nice plus money price on the Giants. Let us know what dogs you're eyeing on the card here tonight. We got some questions rolling in here. Home TV, we're going to touch on this Cardinals series or this Cardinals game coming up for you in just a few. We also have some questions circling on back to that D-backs and Mets game. Which sides do these guys like? We'll touch upon those in just a few because first, man, absolutely huge 4-game set coming up here as my Phillies, as Trig alludes to, clinging. And when I say clinging, I mean clinging to a 5-game lead in the division. So this 4-game set, man, Brandon, I'll start with you. It is going to end August, head into September, really set the tone here for the playoff push in Major League Baseball. Braves, they're coming in red hot, capping off that 5-1 stretch that they had with a sweep. The Phillies coming off an extremely Phillies-like loss, I was saying in the chat. They win the series, they have some momentum going, and then they get abused. 10-0 shutout loss there yesterday after winning the first 2 against Houston. So we'll start with game 1, TB, but really this series I think is ultimately intriguing. And you know, I'm wondering how you're looking to attack as the series moves forward. You see this Phils as pretty big favorites here today. Sanchez going against Morton. So how do you think this all kicks off at 6:40 here tonight?
Yeah, I don't think they should be that much of favorites in this one because the way I break this down, I have these teams pretty even. What evens this series out, the Phillies are good at everything except their bullpen pretty much stinks. I have their bullpen ranked 18 out of 30, where I have the Braves ranked 8. So the Braves dominate bullpen-wise, but the Phillies have a slight batting advantage and a pretty big pitching advantage. I have Morton ranked below the Mendoza line of the average of all starting pitchers, where I have Sanchez ranked 9 on a curve of 30. So I would stay away from this game. Sorry, I can't give you a side or a bet in this, but the batting is better than the pitching. I'll put it that way. So if anything, I'd go over because we got 2 top lineups, but I can't back the Phillies with that bullpen, unfortunately, especially against a team that's batting as well as I realize the Braves are missing some of their players. Acuna's gone and I think Riley's out. They got a couple guys missing, but they're still batting 13 out of 30, which is a little bit above average. So, yeah, I would not bet this game, and I definitely would not lay that much against a team like the Braves.
Yeah, and I know some folks are maybe worried about the weather a little bit. It's looking like any of meaningful rain going to hold off until after the game. So, Trig, any thoughts for you here as far as game 1 sets up or as you move forward for the series? Because I know one of your handicapping approaches here in MLB is getting how you think maybe a series will work out, look at the probable pitching rotation, and then maybe try and attack betting it in that ilk. Do you think there's any way to attack game 1 here, or is this a sit back and learn game because you got a red hot Braves team, you have an inconsistent Phillies team who's looking for the bounce back spot? But I out of everything, I would agree with TB that the price being this high, I think the only way that I would maybe look towards would be the dog in this one. Dog or pass for me. Russell, the Phils are killing me softly as well. So I'm with you there, Russ. But what are you thinking here in game 1, Trig?
All right, I'll play a little devil's advocate. I disagree.
Please
I wouldn't
do.
touch the Braves here. I wouldn't touch the Braves at all. Here's the thing. Like, the Braves really just took advantage of a Twins team that has a lot of stuff to figure out, particularly with how they manage their relief pitchers. And it goes back to something I've said a couple weeks going now, where their middle relief is a real issue. And then, of course, they mismanage the end of the game in the extra innings game, and it's had like a snowball effect in that series. So I mean, the Braves, I'll tip the cap. I thought this team was cooked a long time ago. They found ways to win games, but I would very much disagrey calling them equals to the Phillies with their current roster. They're not going to continue to get production out of a lineup that's got Gio Urshela, Whit Merrifield. That's going to come to an end at some point. Their lineup right now, 6 through 9, is so weak, in my opinion, that they can't sustain success. And actually, it hasn't even really been the offense that's done it. It's really been the starting pitching. So now you come into a series And you go back to the Twin series, of course, they've been banged up. No Correa, Buxton's been out. Royce Lewis had a terrible series at the plate. Now you're going to put them in Citizens Bank Park, very hitter friendly. Phillies coming off. Listen, Phillies yesterday, I love the Astros in that game, but like you got to give them a pass there. They were facing Arrighetti for the first time. Ton of swing and miss stuff there. Like they'd never seen him. We'll give them a pass. Now the Phillies at home are going to get to face the Braves, and they've had exposure to pretty much all of these guys. They've seen a ton of Charlie Morton. They've seen a ton of Max Fried. I will be shocked if the Phils don't take 3 or 4 here. I wouldn't even be surprised if they sweep. But I think they'll take 3 or 4. Now, do I want to lay the price? No, but I wouldn't be playing against them. So Phillies are passed for me, and I think the Phillies put the Braves in their place this weekend.
Wow. Well, I love to hear that. I hope that you're right. I know our man Eric D, he gives a hell yeah trig. So I know our other Phillies homer that holds it down for me in the chat is excited about that breakdown. David Talk saying Philly is better. Trigger is right in all caps. Hal Elgato agree with Triggs. Braves lineup has got to regress. And then Russell, with my feeling, and maybe it's because I'm a little too close to it, Philly just too inconsistent for me. So I think at least the consensus here is we're not laying it with the Phillies here in game one. Maybe a pass, maybe a live kind of play when you see how one of these teams shakes out. But hop below in the comments and let us know how you're looking to bet this one. We got some other questions coming in about the Houston game. We're going to be hitting upon that one. We're going to talk to Trig about St. Louis versus San Diego. But first, Tokyo Brandon, a question for you from Instagram says, all right, TB, this is from our man Jay Douglas. He's at the local pound and he's looking for some dogs today. So I'm not sure, German Shepherd, maybe a little Dachshund mix. I'm not sure, but he's asking, what kind of dogs do you have? And I believe he's referencing any plus money peaches that you might see on the board today in MLB. So TB, you got any dogs for our man Jay Doug?
Killing me softly with his song.
You've just been stuck on killing me softly since we read that comment, haven't you? That was the only. Don't get in here a word anyone said other than I'm gonna sing when they throw it back to me right now.
Yeah. What was the question? No, I'm just kidding. Well, you just mentioned the Astros game. Yeah, you just mentioned the Astros game. I think the Royals are a live dog there. I don't think the Royals should be plus 135 against the Astros. The Royals hit better than the Astros, and they have a mediocre bullpen, and they have a pretty good pitcher and Singer going. And I don't like Hunter Brown. I know his ERA is pretty good, but I don't like Hunter Brown. I've watched him pitch. I don't like his. So if I would go for a big dog today, that would probably be it. Always take hitting if you're going to go for a dog. In the Royals, I have them ranked number 3 in hitting. That would be a decent dog to go with.
So looking towards the Royals, Trig, I want to get your thoughts on that because that game keeps popping up here in the chat because it's like the ultimate potential sell high spot here on the Astros after a 10-1 or a 10-0 win. Maybe you look towards an under. I was hoping maybe that total would be a little bit more inflated, but Singer and Brown in that one. This is one of the late games. Any thoughts for you on Royals Astros? If not, we're going to hit this Padres Cardinals game with you, but I'll let you touch upon this one first.
I would agree with Brandon there. I think the Royals might be a live dog. So you look at their splits. Royals much better against right-handed pitching. And I kind of had Brown circled for maybe a little bit of regression. I mean, you look at the run he was on for like the 13-14 start run he was on after his like kind of poor start. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets hit at some point. Singer is not a guy that I've been super high on this year, but admittedly, I think I've probably been wrong on him overall. Now, he has regressed. Like I think I'm reading here 6.23 ERA so far in August, which I kind of, I feel like I'm kicking myself a little bit because I feel like I should have made money off that. I couldn't really find the right spot to fade him, but I don't think it would be here, especially at this price. So I would lean toward Royals. Here, I would obviously like Plus 1.5, I would absolutely take a shot if it was more playable. Maybe you just play it half and half because, of course, it's still on the road. But yeah, if you're looking for plus money, this is probably, I talked about Giants earlier. That's
Mhm.
probably my favorite plus money dog on the slate today. Royals would be on the short list too.
Yeah, Scratch Master over in the YouTube Shorts chat. Appreciate you joining us here. Hit that like button. We would appreciate it for sure. But Scratch Master saying, I see Royals. Yeah, they're hot, but Houston is a top contender team as well. This is where,
Yeah, but
when
why?
you're
Why?
especially
Here, this is.
The Royals
I
have
got
a
to
better
jump in
record.
there because this is Houston is a contender by default this year. Houston's only a contender, in my opinion, because their division has collectively just choked away the division, meaning the A's were so far out of it. The Angels were out of it before the season even started, it felt like. And then the Rangers never panned out and the Mariners can't hit. So I don't know, and I still think the Astros get priced and considered like they are the Astros of the
because
last
of their name. Yep,
decade or so because of their name.
completely agree.
That's not this team. That's not this team. So like I said, I played him yesterday specifically because of Arrighetti, but the Astros are still a team that I'm more willing to oppose based on where they get priced in the market. Now, as you start to go down the list in the American League, there's a lot of teams with a lot of issues. Suddenly, Twins have issues, Orioles have issues. So the Astros continue to bump their way up by process of elimination. But where they consistently get priced, I can't get on board with the Astros as they're not. This isn't the 2019 team. This isn't one of the teams that won. I don't think they do anything. I guess that's my general thought on that.
Royals have a better
Yeah,
record,
go ahead,
and they're
TB.
good. They're a good road. Royals have a better record. They have more wins. They have less losses, and they have a better pitching staff. And they are a good road team. 34-31 on the road. So yeah, the
And
Astros are
their
always going to
lineup
be good.
has
Yeah, the
the
Astros are
Royals
like the
lineup has
Eagles in the
more
NFL.
upside
They're
too.
always good. The Astros are like the Eagles in the NFL. They're good every year, but they never win it all. Sorry.
Come on, you got to take a
Well,
shot at
I
my
guess they won it
Eagles.
all
Come
once.
on, you didn't have to go there, TB. You didn't have to go there. But no,
They
I
won
think
it all a couple years ago.
Scratch's comment also underscores what Trig is saying, and what I agree with is sometimes you get teams that are going to be priced because they are contenders, and I'm not saying that
Yeah.
Houston isn't, but I'm saying
It shouldn't be that high of a
that
favorite.
that's baked. Yeah, it's baked into the number. Public
Yeah.
sentiment goes into these numbers
Yeah.
just as much as what the analytics do as well.
The Royals should not be plus 135 against anyone in MLB. The Royals are too good to be plus 135
Trig,
against anyone.
Trig, I'll give you last word on this one because I can tell you have something that you want to say, and then we'll swing it back to you and talk this Padres Cardinals game because Home TV asked that like half a year ago. So I'm sorry, Home TV. Hope you're still hanging out with us. We'll hit upon that one, but Trig, wrap up this one and then break down Padres Cardinals for us, King and Greg.
So 2 final thoughts there. No disagreement with what Brandon said about the Royals. Wouldn't want them in a playoff situation, but on a Thursday in August plus money, give me the upside of that Royals lineup all day. Final thing I'll say about the Astros, kind of to your point, Dan, it's very similar to the Braves. Name on the front of the jersey, and their success over recent years has them priced, I think, higher than they should be in the market. So teams that I'm probably more or less looking to fade long term, I guess that's my final point there.
So, all right, Trig, appreciate you putting a little cap on that. Hop below in the comments. Let us know any other teams that you think are getting jersey priced. You see it with the Yankees sometimes. Teams that maybe are getting a little bit overrated in the marketplace. Is great conversation. Keep those comments coming. But Trig, Home TV still is with us. Appreciate it, man. Hit that like button. He's loved the drama on the show today. He's loved Tokyo Brandon throwing strays at my Eagles. The day I wear the Philly special shirt, he decides to throw some haymakers at me. But Padres Cardinals, Trig, was the game Home TV wanted to hear about pretty much at the top. So how are you looking to bet this one? Cardinals looks like about like even money is the home team here, 215 to start.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways in my opinion. And if someone's overvalued, typically someone's going to be undervalued. And that team has been the Padres, in my opinion, for the last 3 months. Based on, like, if you've looked at to win the National League market over literally the past 3 months, Braves, Padres, and Brewers at any given time have all been right around the same odds. Now, I think that's the Padres have odds have shortened significantly since, let's say, June. I think they're the best team in the National League. I'm pretty much done betting against them. They have so much talent on this roster, and I mean, amazingly enough, they might get Tatis back, which would just be a huge boost that I don't even think they need, but they might get him back. Then I'm not betting against this Padres team. Just too much talent, and they still, on a game-to-game basis, their odds are short. So they've been a very good bet all season. I think they're probably a good bet again here. Of course, they lost yesterday after winning the first two of the series, but here they get to face Sonny Gray, who really hasn't been, if you look at Sonny Gray's full season numbers, they're solid, but his like last 10 or 11 starts or so, his ERA is over 5, just hasn't been the same guy. The Padres, they have the bullpen usage in this series is getting up there a little bit. I guess that's my main concern, but there's just, in my opinion, just a far superior team. Michael King is a guy that I thought had an outside chance to compete for the NL Cy Young this year. So it would have to be the Padres here for me. I still think that minus 115, minus 110, minus 115, wherever it's at, is cheap. Like, again, you don't get the same like name recognition bump with the Padres that you do with like these other quote unquote contending teams in the National League. And once again, the Padres are a good bet because of it.
Yeah, great breakdown there from our man Adam Trigger, wt.buzz/AT, where you can find him. Tokyo Brandon over at wt.buzz/TB. Keep those comments coming. And we got Toronto and Boston coming up here for best bets, Colorado, Miami in best bets as well. And actually, one of the questions we had over on TikTok, Salvado, apologize for butchering the name there. He wants to hear about that White Sox game first. So we'll hit on that one because we have Mr. White Sox here with us. But we'll give you first crack at this one, Tokyo Brandon. Rangers and White Sox, Eovaldi versus Nestrini. I mean, this dude. How are you looking at this one? I mean, even Trig, Mr. White Sox, probably has agita looking at trying to break down a way that you could get down on the White Sox. This is just Rangers or pass, right? Or, over? What do you think?
Well, there's only a few teams.
This is not the marquee matchup, let's say.
No, there's only a couple of teams in Major League Baseball that the White Sox can hit better than, and the Rangers are one of those teams. The Rangers' bats have been flaccid. They're awful. And I have these two teams almost neck and neck as far as batting is concerned. Bullpen, the White Sox bullpen was horrible all season, but they're actually not playing that bad right now. I have them ranked 21 out of 30, which is, for the White Sox, it's pretty good. So yeah, the Rangers do have a starting pitcher advantage here. Eovaldi's a solid pitcher. He's not flashy. He's not great. He's pretty average, mediocre innings eater kind of guy. So if anything, the Rangers have a pitching advantage here, but there's no way I'm going to go minus 225 or minus 250 with a team's bats that are ranking bottom 5 in Major League Baseball. So I'm going to stay away from this one.
Yeah, and as I prefaced this game, I said, so what can be done in this game? Tyler saying there's nothing that can be done with the White Sox game. Trig, any thoughts for you on your Chicago White Sox, who finally, the last time we talked about them, they didn't have 100 losses. Now they're at 103. So it's been quite the year here, setting some history for the White Sox. Any thoughts in this one, Trig? And then we're going to get into best bets for the folks.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I would not want to bet the Rangers in just about any circumstance where they're laying this number. Like, this is the team I'm worried about from an effort standpoint the rest of the way. Remember, they won the World Series last year, probably a year or two ahead of when they probably really should have been competitive. And this year hasn't worked out. Injuries, kind of hurt them early in the season. They never got off the mat. They're really, not in it for anything at this point. So I'd rather have the White Sox, who are starting to get some younger guys in the lineup. And when I say I'd rather have the White Sox, talking about maybe an alternate run line plus 2.5. I think the plus 1.5 is substantial plus odds here, something like plus 125 or plus 130, because at least it's like younger guys. Like Nestrini's a guy that probably in any other organization doesn't sniff the big leagues this year, and they had him up in April, just trying to see anything that could stick. And so it's almost unfair to Nastrini to an extent. He was a guy that I thought would probably start in Double-A, and then I saw him in Triple-A, and I was like, okay, interesting. And then in April he's in the big leagues, and then he's moved back down, called back up. That makes for a difficult season for a young guy. And at this point with the White Sox, it's more about trial by fire, throwing him in there and seeing what he's got. But it's not all bad for him. Like the numbers are poor, but it's more of the numbers are poor more so because I think he's been pitching at a level he probably didn't belong at this year. And he was drafted right around the same time as Cannon, like second or third rounder. So I'm not totally out on him. He's had some good performances for Charlotte recently. That kind of earned, got him the call back up. I would look alt run line. I think if I was going to play it, because if you look at this series so far, I mean, the White Sox almost walked it off last night. Absurd catch by Janikowski to save that game. 2 days ago was pretty competitive. I don't know what they're going to do with Crochet, but he threw 4 pitches before the rain delay. I don't know if he's, if they use him out of the bullpen or they just kind of push him off till his next quote unquote start. I know they've been limiting his innings, but he could potentially be an option. Point is, the Rangers aren't a very good team either. And now you've got the market so far one way against a team in the White Sox that they're willing to give you 2.5 runs. Probably a good chance this game is at least close. So even if the White Sox don't steal one here, which they're probably going to win one at some point soon, maybe you stay within the 2.5 runs. So that would be my lean. White Sox plus 2.5. It's probably like minus 110, minus 115.
Shocker. Find a way to get on the run line for our man, Adam Trigger. Hop below in the comments. Let us know what your best bets are because we got ours coming your way right now. We got a strikeout prop coming your way for Tokyo Brandon in the Blue Jays and the Red Sox game. This one going at 7-10. And you got Francis and Crawford to choose from in this one. Tokyo Brandon, how are we betting this one? And also tell the folks about the play you're pretty excited about that they can grab over at your page right now.
Yes, thank you. One note about the White Sox. They are not the worst team ever. The worst team ever in Major League Baseball was the Cleveland Spiders in 1899. They went 20 and 134 for a winning percentage of 13. And currently the White Sox have a winning percentage of 23. So doubt they'll be the worst team in history, but they certainly are on the verge. But this is the thing about baseball is the worst team can win 1 out of 4 games in baseball. So that's the randomness of baseball. So yeah, I have a 4% play today. It's a side and I really like it. You can get that at my page at WagerTalk.com. Number 1 in MLB profit 2024, number 1 all sports profit 2024. So it's going well. And I've had in the last 3 days, I had 2 of those days I swept the boards. So things are going well in Major League Baseball. Grab my 4% play at my page at WagerTalk.com. So the game I'm going to give out, this is a 2% play that I put out for my clients. I do like a strikeout prop here. So Bowden Francis, I'm not sure how he pronounces it. He's actually a really good pitcher that nobody's ever heard of. Granted, his last 3 starts, 2 of those starts were against the Angels, who are close to dead last in hitting in all of Major League Baseball, but he's also gone against the Orioles twice. He's gone against the Diamondbacks. He only pitched 2 innings against the Diamondbacks, but against the Orioles, he had 5 innings in each of those starts. And in his last 3 starts, he's only given up 2 earned runs. Granted, like I said, 2 of those starts for the Angels, but against the Cubs, who have a pretty potent lineup, he went 7 innings and he struck out 7. So he's a really good pitcher that probably nobody who does not follow baseball has probably never heard of. It's too many negatives in that sense, but it's 1 a.m, so get off my back. Francis, he's striking out 10 guys per 9 innings. And the Red Sox, I've been betting starting pitchers strikeout props against the Red Sox for the last week or so, and I've been making some decent money doing it. The Red Sox strike out a lot. They strike out more than 9 times per 9 innings. So you got to think, if a pitcher who strikes out 10 per 9, I have a little calculation here for starting pitchers. I take their K per 9. I take what percent of the game they go through, and then I take the opponent's strikeout rate, and I just calculate it like that. And I calculate Bowden Francis. He generally goes 68% into the game. He strikes out 10 per game against a team that strikes out 9.88 per game. It comes to 6.8 strikeouts. So that's what I project Bowden Francis today. His strikeout prop was 4.5, but it was heavily juiced. I think it was minus 180. It's probably jumped up to 5.5 now, but even over 5.5, I would take. If you can get an alt 4.5, you can grab that as well. If Bowden Francis pitches 5 innings in this game, I have very little doubt that he's going to strike out 5 or 6 batters. So my best bet for the show, and it's a 2% play. Yeah, Bowden Francis over in his strikeout prop.
All about the strikeouts, our man Tokyo Brandon. Check out his best bet 4%er rocking WT.buzz/TB. Blaze one over on YouTube Shorts saying LSU is going down. Well, good news for you, Blaze. You might just be in agreement with one of our experts in college football action. That's right. College football Bet On It is back right here on the channel. You can head on over, check it out, and get your info that you need for college football. And don't worry too, Blaze, stay here on the channel live, because coming up this afternoon, College Football Today is back. So if college football fix is what you need, you got it right here on WagerTalk TV. More reasons than ever to subscribe here. All right, Trig, best bet time for you. Yesterday, Brian Leonard had a nice rocking chair winner with the Colorado Rockies, and we see him as favorites again, Trig, as they're taking on the Marlins. So I mean, if we're back in the Rockies again, we might just have to start calling them the Colorado Chalkies, because we're eating it with them at home and they're cashing it in for us today. You think it's worth another shake at the cat? How are you looking to bet this one for your best bet?
Yeah, I like the Rockies. They're my best bet. And damn, it really comes down to how greedy do I want to get here? Because I went into this week, went into this series saying, okay, I really like how this series sets up for the Rockies. It's a ton of young players on both sides. But something we've talked about plenty on this show, the Rockies splits are much better at home than they are on the road. I think the Rockies have more of their better young players at the big league level right now, whereas Jacksonville's got guys like Devison De Los Santos, Agustin Ramirez, Javier Sanjoa still down at AAA. So I really wanted to get involved with the Rockies in this series, and I did. I cashed with them on Monday, 4% winner for me on Monday night with the Rockies. And you know, but it's still the Rockies, right? And these are still 2 bad teams. So do I want to take another bite, right? Do I want to go back to the well, or do I just get out of this series with my win and move on? That's what I'm going to be kind of mulling over the next hour or so, whether this is going to be a client play for me or not. But I will point out the last 2 nights they have split. The Rockies should have won both of those games. The Rockies completely choked away a game late on Tuesday. Last night bounced back, won 8-2. And again, I just think if you've watched this series, all 3 games so far, pretty clear that right now the Rockies are the better baseball team. And again, the way I'm looking today, reasons I think that: one, Ezekiel Tovar back in the lineup. He's a superstar. He's going to be, at least. He's not a household name yet, but give it a year or two, he'll be one of the better shortstops in the league on, both offensively and defensively. He's an absolute stud. And I think they're going to get, they did get Bretton Doyle back yesterday. So more of a, their normal lineup out there now. Earlier this week, both of those guys, were out for various reasons. So I give the Rockies the bump in that department. As far as starting pitching, pretty even. You got 2 rookies, Valente Beloso for the Marlins, and it's Blaylock for the Rockies. I actually don't see a real edge or a real advantage or disadvantage there either way. Although I will point out that Beloso is going to be at Coors Field for the first time. And typically that I feel like that's more bad than good for guys making their debut at Coors Field. Now, where I think the Rockies have the edge here is in the bullpen. And even though they blew that game 2 days ago, the Rockies bullpen is still priced as a bottom unit. Their numbers are the worst that you're going to find. When you go sort those bullpen numbers out, the Rockies are at the bottom in almost every metric, especially the bottom of the National League. But they've recently called up like 3 or 4 guys that I think are really solid bullpen arms that give the Rockies a much better bullpen than they've had this season. One of them, Angel Shavili, he was called up on August 1st, 2.77 ERA, 1.15 whip for the Rockies in August so far. He's kind of been their closer, or at least he's one of the options, like an eighth. They've been using him in high leverage. He's been great. The other guy that I'm more excited about is Luis Peralta. So the Rockies got him in a trade at the trade deadline from the Pirates. And in August, he was lights out at AA and AAA for like a day, and they called him up. I want to read off to you his numbers at all levels. So he has flown through the minors. He played at 4 different levels of minor league ball this year. His numbers at the minors in 32 appearances are insane. 7-0, 0.94 ERA, 0.97 whip, 75 strikeouts and 47.2 innings at the minors. Since being called up on Saturday in Yankee Stadium, 2.2 scoreless innings, 1 hit, no walks, 3 strikeouts. I thought only one guy's reached base. He didn't pitch yesterday. I think he'll be used today. I think Javili will be used today. And, that to me puts all the boxes are for the most part checked for the Rockies there. So I want to see lineups, make sure no one's getting like a day off. Because again, both these teams are out of it and they're going to prioritize health and getting people playing time. But if the Rockies have their A lineup out, I might have to take another shot here. We know they're better at home. I just think, they have enough of an edge to justify laying -120, -122, whatever it is. So best bet for the show, Rockies. If this makes my client card, I'll throw it up on Twitter. So make sure you're following me at AdamTriggerWT, and I'll let you know if it's a play or not.
Love the breakdown there for the Colorado Chalkies. Hop below in the comments and let us know what you're looking to bet today. Big shout out to these guys. We're looking at Francis's strike prop over for the best bet, and that's in the Blue Jays and Red Sox. That was our man Tokyo Brandon's. He's got a 4%er rocking today. Trig will be loading his plays later, and you want to check him out for college football.
Dan, real quick.
Go ahead.
I wanted to, that's so 5% winner yesterday for me in Major League Baseball. Like I said, I'll probably give you the Major League Baseball today, but I do have another 5% in college football on Saturday. My first 5%er in football of the season, college football that is. So that's up on my page right now.
Yeah, and right now we got that deal where you can buy 2 weeks of college football action and get another week for free. So 21 days of all access. Terrific deal that's loaded over at your favorite Cappers page. You can see it at wt.buzz/deals. And with that all access, you'll get all the MLB plays. You'll get any other sport that's released. So you get the KBO plays. So terrific deal that's rocking over there. You can check that out. wt.buzz/deals. Big thanks to these guys. Big thanks to the chat as well. Keep those comments coming as we shut things down. Hit that like button, subscribe, and the little bell will keep you notified when we're going live. For you college football fans, you definitely want to be hitting that one and check out the channel as Bet On It is live right now. We got Wager Talk today coming your way just about 15 minutes from now. And we got Dave Mason from betonline.ag, Ralph Michaels, Marco D'Angelo, a hell of a Thursday show coming your way. So don't go anywhere, folks. Stay locked and loaded right here. We'll be back with you tomorrow, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. on the West Coast. And while you're hanging out, you can check out the video on your screen right now if you want to keep on cashing, getting all the info you need to cash on all the sports you love. That's what we do here at Wager Talk TV. Until next time, best of luck, everyone.